When it comes to naming a beer, this one has to be the weirdest of all. This is Mudwig Has a Beef System. I have no idea what it's about, but it is the latest beer from Verdant. And is it going to be as good as all the rest of the Verdant? Well, there's only one way to find out. You keep on watching, and then you'll know. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. Today we're going to be reviewing this beer from Verdant, or Verdant as some people like to call it. This is Mudwig Has a Beef System. It's an IPA, 6.5%, what I would call the ideal strength for an IPA. And this has got Cryo Pop and Idaho 7 on the hot side and Strata and Talus on the cold side. So there's a strange sort of combination of different hops here. I'm not sure what it's going to be like, all combined together. And I have no idea what this means. I mean, look at the picture. It's a sort of one of these sort of, it's a cartoony sort of picture of a light shade on a sort of, I don't even know what that is. Is that a cow? And then there's some sort of anchor. It's like a boat. I have no idea what it's about. I have no idea what Mudwig is all about. I don't know why he's got a beef system. But if anyone knows, let me know in the comments, because, you know, I'm just here to drink the beer. I don't know the full story behind this, but I'm sure there has to be one. So let's crack this beer open, get it in a glass, and see what it's all about. It seems to be a while since I've had a Verdant beer. I mean, but they're always great. So I asked myself why I haven't had one, but saw this one. Thought it had an interesting sort of setup of hops, so thought I'd try it. So beer in a glass. Yep. It looks like a very New England style, yellowy, slightly orangey yellow. It's a bit darker than a sort of straw, but it's a lovely looking beer. 2 fingers of head. I've poured this beer, probably the best beer I've poured in the last sort of week or so, because a lot of the recent ones have been pretty damn rubbish. Looks pretty good. Let's see what it smells like. Oh, there's a real, I'm getting huge amounts of sort of coconut and pineapple in this. Yeah, I mean, so Cryo Pop is almost like a blend of all kinds of different things. Idaho 7 usually brings a bit of pineapple. Strata is usually a lot more grapefruit and a little bit more of the sort of dankness, really. And then you've got Talus, which is the sort of, I think it's like the cousin of Sabro, but it's not as dominant as Sabro. But when you smell this, woof, you're getting huge sort of those Sabro aromas. You're getting massive sort of coconut, massive creaminess of coconut, pineapple, and then there's and that sort of touch of lime and that sort of Murray mint, that creamy mint sort of aroma. It's really dominant, but it's really inviting. So let's tuck in. Cheers, everyone. Well, coconut is just immense in this beer. I mean, if you had told me, if I'd read on here that they'd added extra coconut, I would have agreed with you, because the coconut flavour is so dominant. I have properly sort of made this beer, because a lot of the recent ones, and I said it on a previous video, that I've left this beer out a good hour tonight. Because I find a lot of recent beers and some of the reviews, the beers have been just too cold and you're not getting the aromas and the flavours. And this one's been out an hour. It's still cold, but it's not ice cold. So the flavours are a lot more prominent. And the big flavour, the big takeaway with this is the sweetness, the creaminess, almost like that Murray mint is really up front. Coconut, Murray mint, lime. And you think about those things in a beer and you think, well, that's a bit weird. Rocker, that's not right. You shouldn't be drinking beer that has coconut flavours in there and a Murray mint. But it sort of works because it's wrapped up in this sort of tropical and citrus sort of blend almost. It's difficult to pick out. There is definitely, pineapple is probably the bigger of the sort of tropical fruits. There's probably a bit of mango in there, a bit of papaya. Not much in terms of passion fruit. And on the citrus side, not really picking up any sort of grapefruit, which you sometimes do with the Strata. You're getting a sort of, just a light citrusy sort of flavour. If anything, you've got a little bit of lime there on the back end. That's the sort of dominant flavour. But the coconut is a really sort of, it's over, the coconut and creaminess of it and that sweetness is very overpowering. And it's obviously wrapped up. I mean, Verdant know what they do when it comes to mouthfeel. It's another soft, creamy sort of mouthfeel. It's a really nice beer. I mean, I've had beers that have these sort of flavours and they've got Sabro in it, and maybe Sabro and maybe Citra, and that's about it. But Cryo Pop, which we've had recently, I just think it just has a sort of, it's an amped up sort of blend of tropicalness. It's difficult to really put my finger on what is Cryo Pop and what it's all about, because it's almost like a combination of lots of other hops and then just sort of amped up a little bit, so you get this huge rush of tropical citrusy sort of stuff that we get in a lot of our sort of craft beers, certainly New England style craft beers. But the Idaho 7's bringing a bit more pineapple. The Stratas, there's a sort of slight dryness on the back end, but really what I'm tasting is almost like lime zest really on the back end. And again, that's probably more from the Talus really, because the Talus brings that sort of milder version of Sabro, but it's not, there's nothing mild, it's quite a strong flavour. So it's an interesting combination really of these different hops in terms of what they bring. But it's certainly rounded off into a very nice beer. Yeah, it's a cracking beer. If you like those flavours, you want creaminess, you want sweetness, pineapple, coconut, bit of minty, creamy Murray mint. And then just when you think, oh, is that going to be too sweet? You get a real sort of zestness of heavy lime, almost like the rind of a lime, really. And you think, oh, am I going to get a bit of grapefruit? There's a little bit of grapefruit there. There's Strata, which brings, I think, the grapefruit flavour, just sort of comes in a little bit at the back end. But I'm not, maybe more as I drink it, because it has a real dryness sort of thing which you can easily get confused with bitterness. I don't think there's any bitterness with this, but there is an element where it sort of dries the back of your throat and you just think, oh, I've got to take another sip. And then you go through that journey of creamy coconut, pineapple, Murray mint, lemon, lime, touch of grapefruit. That's what it's all about. That is pretty much this beer in a nutshell. I mean, it's got a weird title. Mudwig has a beef system. I don't taste any beef in this. That's one thing. That's a good thing, I think. But it's another cracking Verdant beer. It's got all those flavours in it. It's huge flavours, big hop forward sort of flavours. I'm not sure. I mean, the 4 different hops combining, it's an interesting one really, because you're getting the sort of stuff that you get on the cold side, I think is the big flavour really, the Strata, and the Talus. They're the flavours I can get. Yes, you're getting a little bit of pineapple from the Idaho 7, but you'd get a bit of pineapple from the Talus. And the Cryo Pop, I think that just amps it up, so there's a big flavour there. It's a cracking beer. Let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for Mudwig Has a Beef System, this IPA from Verdant, or Verdant as some people like to call it, and it's got Cryo Pop, it's got Idaho 7, they're on the hot side, and then Strata and Talus on the cold side. An interesting combination of hops, but those cold side hops seem to be a bit more dominant. So firstly, the aroma. So the aroma is really pleasant. You're getting a big hits of coconut, pineapple, and when you first smell it, you think, oh, there's Sabro in this, but there's no Sabro, but there's the cousin Talus, and that's where you get a lot of those aromas. It's quite big in terms of those sort of aromas, so you're getting that coconut, pineapple, that sort of slight Murray mint, creamy mint sort of aroma with lime on the sort of on the back end of that aroma as well. They're the aromas that you're getting. Smells pretty good though, and you want to make sure you want to drink it, so I'm giving it 14 for aroma. Appearance, it's a lovely yellowy orange beer. We've got nice, the head's sort of retained, you've got a little sliver of head, but look at the lace in the glass. Making a right mess of this glass, but it's a creamy sort of appearance, and you know it's going to be a creamy sort of beer. So I'm giving it 9 for appearance. Flavour wise, well, the flavour is similar to the aroma, so you're getting a big hit of coconut and sweetness on the front end. Maybe there's a little bit of mango and peach in there, but the pineapple I think is a bit more dominant in terms of the fruit. And then you're also, and then as you drink that, you're getting a citrusy sort of burst, A little bit of lemon, but mainly lime, and the rind of the lime. It's quite a strong, zesty lime flavour. And then you get a little bit of grapefruit, and just the subtleness of grapefruit. And I think that's the Strata, the hop, that's giving you that bit of grapefruit. And it's quite amped up, and I think the Cryo pop element of it ramps up a lot of those flavours. I think the Cryo pop works well with these other hops to boost their flavour. And it's a big hop forward, big fruity flavoured beer. To some might find it a little bit sweet. There's an element of sweetness about it, a little bit more sweet than you would expect from an IPA. But it's still pretty damn good though. I'm giving it 36. And then value for money. Well, this was a £5.5 beer. I mean, it's pretty standard, the prices I've been paying really. It's Verdant, it's good beer, 4 hops, 6.5%. Yeah, it's a 440ml can, but it's a real hop forward quality premium beer. You know that. 8 out of 10 for value. And then my overall experience, it's a nice beer. I mean, it's yeah, there's a lot going on. And I think the more I drink it, I think, yeah, you can overanalyze it and pick up different flavors. The Talus, I think, is the big flavour hop, and I think Cryo pop somehow makes that Talus a bit stronger in the flavour. So it's almost tasting like a Sabro. There is a subtle difference between Talus and Sabro. They have very similar characteristics, and they are seen as a sort of, you know, a cousin of each other, as it were. Talus is a little bit more subtle than Sabro, so I don't think you're getting, I don't know, but there's something about this that has a big, you don't get the slight dankness that you get with Sabro, and that flavour that sort of coats the mouth. It's a little bit lighter in terms of its flavour, although the flavours are the same. But we're combining with these other hops, and the Cryo pop, I think especially, and Idaho 7 brings pineapple. Cryo pop brings a big tropical sort of flavour and just sort of ramps everything up a little bit. There's a lot of flavour going on here. If you had too many of them, I think it'd be too much, because it's a hop flavour, hop forward, big flavoursome beer. And so some people will think, yeah, you have one of them, you think, yeah, that's great. But if you kept drinking them, it'd get too much. So my overall experience, I'm going to get 15. It's still a really good beer. You have one of these and you think, it's a really nice, lots of flavour in this beer. 15 for overall. So we top those scores up. It's another highly recommended beer. And I am Maiden of Beers, 82. It's at the low end of it, but I think depending on your sort of, your personal preference in terms of those sort of flavours, certainly that sort of Talus, if you like Talus hop, then I think you get a lot out of this. It's a real great craft beer, pina colada sort of flavour, lime, creaminess. There's a little bit of dryness really, a little bit of dryness on the back end that sort of stops it being a better beer, but it's still a very good beer. 82 is highly recommended. So if anyone's had Mudwig has a beef system, everyone understands what the title is or what this picture is trying to replicate, then let me know, because I am genuinely quite interested. I mean, it's an interesting beer with some interesting hops in it, with an interesting name and interesting artwork. But I want to know a bit more about it. So let me know if you know anything about it in the comments. And until the next one, you know what you're going to do. Keep on rocking.